Today, on another episode of Habaneros Hot Takes, the Habaneros cover the three most popular sports in America, like basketball, describing the best fits for each and every team if there was one player they could get from today's current pool, describing baseball, their spring training power rankings, and who will eventually have their MVP and Cy Young votes, and what in the world is going on with the NFL free agent market. All happening today on Habaneros Hot Takes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Habaneros Hot Takes, where the takes are spicy and the jokes are funny. Boy, it has been a great week for sports this week in the sports world. All kinds of stuff going on. NFL, crazy free agent market. NBA, it's going to be a battle for the playoffs. And spring training is really heating up. Excited to see some of this stuff that's been going on in
2 weeks till regular season baseball starts again. I am hyped.
2 weeks from today, the Dodgers will head to one of I don't remember which one, to take on the Padres at 5 in the morning in America.
You really think they're playing in North Korea?
My guess is no, but you never know. So, yeah, it's been a beautiful week for sports. The free agent market in the NFL is absolutely insane right now. All kinds of stuff going on. Nobody's really signed yet other than one player, which we'll talk about later. And there's been all kinds of stuff going on around cutting players, actually. Specifically, the Buffalo Bills, which we will talk about today.
Our Buffalo Bills have been going insane today, and we will make sure to cover that topic towards the end of the video.
I know last week we said we would cover the grades for the NFL organizations, like their score on ESPN, that article that came out. But by now that's really old news. So we wanted to move on to newer stuff, like all the stuff we're covering with the NFL today. But as usual, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with basketball, and we are going to talk about the best fitting players for each and every NBA playoff team right now. If they could have one player in the current NBA to fix them for whatever problem they have going on, who would it be? And
let's get it.
To make it so that we can't cheat, it has to be a different player for every team, because we can't just say Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, OG Anunoby for every single team.
How realistic are we going to keep it here? Because I think any team would benefit from having a player like LeBron.
Exactly. You're like Jokic or somebody like that, but it's only the teams that really need it that we're going to talk about there. Obviously, this is all theoretical, and all of this probably will not happen. So, yeah, we're going to keep a list of everybody that we've done so far so we don't get mixed up here. But every single team will be talking about one player that could push this team to a potential championship winning spot for both playoffs and for play-in. And before we go, we got to shout out some of the birthday boys that happened this week. We got Jason Tatum. 3-second clap for Jason Tatum. And we got Shaquille O'Neal. Glad to see the Big Diesel with another birthday. What a legend, honestly.
Yes, huge Laker legend.
This is not sponsored, but Shaquille O'Neal's got a great podcast. So anyone out there that likes our podcast, you might like Shaq's. It's the Big Podcast, I do believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's pretty fire. I would give it a listen from here. Not sponsored, but Shaq, if you want us to, we are totally down to do a sponsorship.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to start with the last place team in the Western Conference play-in like we did last time. However, I do think it's changed since last time, where the Warriors bottom last time we did whatever we did.
No, baby, my Lakers are on the rise. They've had a great week, pulling 2 out of 3, almost beating the Nuggets. They fell apart in the fourth quarter again, even though LeBron surpassed 40,000.
3-second clap for that, by the way. Now, the only player in NBA history to have 40,000 points, even though they lost. But still.
I'm still disappointed that we lost. It feels like every time LeBron breaks a big record like that, the Lakers seem to lose a game.
It really does. And it always seems to be against the Nuggets.
For some reason, man. We really should stop playing the Nuggets on these important games.
True. The schedulers could really do you a favor by giving you someone other than the Nuggets. Or you could just rise to the occasion, which is another option. But Anyway, let's get into it. Golden State Warriors. Who's one player that could instantly propel the Warriors to championship contender level? And think long and hard about this, because you only get one use per player. So you got to pick someone good.
They need defense, is what they need.
They do really need defense.
They need defense and they need a big.
That is true. Who are you going to go here?
Why I am going to go with my pick, hot take button, for Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert.
That's not a hot take, but I like it. Rudy Gobert fits well with the Warriors. I like it. Honestly, if the Warriors didn't have Draymond would be like the perfect guy to put on the Warriors, if I'm being honest. Like, he's amazing. He would fit really well there.
That's why he fits their team so well.
Yeah, but for the Warriors, this is probably never going to happen, but I really want to take Jason Tatum from the Celtics and bring him to the Warriors. I think he provides decent defense and great offense. All of a sudden, that Warriors team, #1 offensive rating. No doubt in my mind that they would be able to achieve that with Jason Tatum. And that defense cleans it up a bit. And he provides some experience besides like Kuminga and all those guys that they have there at the center that are younger. So I think Jason Tatum would help him out a lot.
Yes.
All right, moving up to number 9, the aforementioned Lakers, who have been on a bit of a heater recently. They've been picking up some games. However, it's not been enough to gain them really anywhere on
They're only
any of the
like
teams.
2.5 games out of a playoff spot now, so I don't know what you're talking about. They're absolutely gaining ground.
That's true. It feels like the West could go any direction. Anybody could end up as the champion of the Western Conference. But who fits the Lakers the best?
Trae Young, I still wish we would have traded for him at the deadline, but we missed out on that opportunity, disappointingly. One of my favorite point guards in the league, also has a really good podcast, not sponsored.
Yes, go listen to From the Point by Trae Young, not sponsored, but yet again, we are totally down to do it if you want us to. So you're saying Trae Young would help the Lakers a lot?
Absolutely. I still wish we would have gotten him at the deadline when I heard the rumors that there was a chance we were going to go out and get him. Disappointing that we weren't able to.
I feel like the Lakers are well-rounded in some spots, but not well-rounded enough in other spots. Like they've got 117 offensive rating, which as of right now is actually a pretty good offensive rating, but it is also like middle of the pack offensive rating. And their defensive rating is also 117 points, which is on the lower end of the spectrum. So they got a mid offense and they need a better defense.
I'm telling you, man, when the Lakers are hitting their threes, they're a hard team to beat. The only problem is it doesn't happen very often. You saw it the other night against the Thunder, though. D'Angelo Russell was absolutely beating he only plays good at the trade deadline allegations. He was cooking.
I mean, his nickname literally is or has been in recent years, instead of ice in his veins or ice blood D-Lo, it's been deadline D-Lo, because that's really only when he's performed.
Yeah.
But not that night they played the Thunder. He played pretty good. Personally, I think the Lakers could benefit from some guard defense, which they absolutely lack right now. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. I know you're a big Reeves guy. There's not a whole lot going there. They would really, really excel from a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Man, I would love it if we got Shai.
That like triples down on their ability to score from anywhere. My only concern with that would be, where do you put the ball? But that's not a bad thing to be concerned about. Like, if you have good enough scores that you're thinking, where do I go with the basketball? That's a great question to be asking. Like, it's better than where's our defense or where's our offense. So Shai would really help them on defense, provide to a already pretty mid offense, something that only he can provide in his current MVP push, which we will talk about in a future episode. And yeah, I just feel like he'd fit their team really well.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks, and it has been such a disappointing week for the Dallas Mavericks.
Man. Since beating your Toronto Raptors and Luka going off on his birthday, they really have not had a good week.
That is true. I mean, I watched a game on Sunday where they played against the Philadelphia Hospital, aka the Philadelphia 76ers, because they have like nobody healthy right now.
Yeah, man.
And they started off 11-0 and then just disappeared for the rest of the game. And it was so ugly to watch as Luka tried to carry the team on his back.
Yeah, man.
It was not good enough to beat a Sixers team with no health. Honestly, a pretty scary sign for the Dallas Mavericks.
Man, if I had to pick any one player to help that team, It's a difficult choice, but it's absolutely going to be a big.
That is true. Luka next to a big would be unbelievably good.
And I know that the correct answer should probably be Jokic, but I want to keep it slightly more realistic, so I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo, not a bad pick. He plays defense well. He plays offense well. Really well-rounded. And with Luka playing the point guard, that would be really good. For me, we've seen the Damian Lillard and Giannis connection in Milwaukee, which has been good as of recently. It didn't start out great, but they're really finding it. How much better would they be with Luka throwing lobs to Giannis?
That would be absolutely wild, and I would love to see that, but I highly doubt that will ever happen.
I think the Mavericks could easily three-peat if they had Giannis next to Luka Doncic. Like, they'll pass the ball to each other, they'll score. Giannis will play great defense, and if they can surround Luka with good defenders, they could easily march their way to a championship.
Yes.
So that's my pick for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes.
Next, we got the Sacramento Kings, who've gone a perfect 5 for 5. Well, I don't say perfect, but it's like perfect win-to-loss ratio of 1-1.
Until they lose to the Lakers tonight.
They play the Lakers 2 times in the next week, which is huge because the Lakers are only a game and a half back. So if the Lakers win both of them, they can overtake both Sacramento and Dallas, and maybe even Phoenix if they get lucky and find themselves in the playoffs by the end of the week.
I'm hoping, man. We really need this one.
But yeah, anyway, Sacramento. Who do you think Sacramento needs?
Sacramento just needs some defense, man. I like Sabonis. I like Fox. I like Kevin Huerter. They really have no defense on this team, though. They need somebody who's going to play lockdown defense, and they also need a power forward because they really don't have much depth there. Harrison Barnes is pretty old.
I think maybe Keegan Murray plays there sometime, but I think he's a primary small forward.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Which is why, if I had to pick any one player to put on the Sacramento Kings, I would pick one of my personal favorite Lakers players, Jared Vanderbilt.
I mean, he hustles. He plays good defense. He's not going to provide a whole lot of scoring for you, but
they don't need it, man. They have Fox and Sabonis.
That is true. I can confirm the Kings have no shortage of scoring. They have the second best offensive rating in the Western Conference, probably top 5 in the NBA. For me, my pick is going to go as a guy that I really feel like could help any team succeed. And sadly, the Knicks don't have him on the floor because he's hurt, because they traded for him from my Toronto Raptors. He plays great defense. He's a good wing. He can shoot from the corners. OG Anunoby feels like he fits in perfectly with any team, but especially the Kings.
Yeah, man. OG Anunoby is a very talented player. I think the Knicks did a fantastic job going out and acquiring him. And, man, the Knicks are scary if they can get healthy. We were talking about it last week, but, they're still beating teams right now, which is even more impressive when they don't have Julius Randle or Anunoby or Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, they're lacking a lot of different pieces, but if they can find it and get it together, I think they can make a deep playoff push. But we're not supposed to be talking about the Kings right now because the Kings are in the Eastern Conference.
You mean the Knicks?
Yes, I mean the Knicks. We are supposed to be talking about the Kings, not the Knicks, because the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference.
Yes, we'll get to the Knicks eventually.
But now we're going to go out of the play-in tournament and talk about the Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, Kevin Durant was absolutely going off for last night to help them come back and beat the Denver Nuggets, who currently hold the 3rd spot because of that. But it feels like Phoenix has been getting it together. At the same time, they're also 5-5 in their last few games.
And they're also kind of in threat, and they're also kind of a threat to fall into a play-in spot and fall out of the playoff picture.
Especially with an injury to Devin Booker that has kept him out of the lineup for the last few days.
Yes.
Who do you think fits well on Phoenix, Turner?
Ooh. I really think they need a big. Yet again, I feel like somebody like Jokic would be really good, but then again, I really hate saying Jokic. So I'm going to say Anthony Davis, the second best big in the Western Conference.
Second best big in the Western Conference. That
feels like it could be a hot take, but at the same time, I don't think it is because like his only other competition is Zion, and Zion has not showed that good of a year this year. But yeah, for me, I think the Phoenix Suns also definitely need defensive help at the big or anywhere really.
Although Nurkic did have a game with what, 26 rebounds,
No,
31 rebounds?
31 rebounds. Yusuf Nurkic had 31 boards.
A
I
3-second
think that
clap
deserves
for
a
that.
3-second clap. Yeah. Who did he have it against? I think it was Houston, maybe.
That sounds about right.
But yeah, he was going off one night. He had a ridiculous amount of rebounds. I think the perfect player to complement the Phoenix Suns is Victor Wembanyama because he gives them height, which they already have in Bobo. He gives them 3-point shooting, which then everybody on the Suns' active roster can shoot the free throw. And he gives them good defense on the interior. And they can keep Nurkic next to him. Like, how are they supposed to lose with that team? Great all the play offensively. Excuse me for the stuttering there. Great all the way offensively. And defensively, they're not too shabby, which is what you want in a team in today's NBA.
Yeah.
So that's my pick for them. Now we turn our attention to the New Orleans Pelicans, who have been lighting it up recently. They're 7-3 in their last 10 and starting to make a real potential push for a high spot.
Zion's finally looking like he actually wants to win more than he wants McDonald's.
And Brandon Ingram just keeps going off on a nightly basis. He's excelling in every single possible category for the Pelicans down the stretch here.
And speaking of Zion Williamson, we got some absolutely fantastic news for dunk contest fans today. Zion says if he is voted an All-Star again, and if he has the opportunity, he would compete in the dunk contest.
I personally would love to see Zion Williamson in the dunk contest. Sure, he's a big guy, but he can move through the air like nobody else can. It's majestic to watch him dunk.
I know. I'm very excited as a dunk contest fan to hopefully see him compete.
He's got to make an all-star appearance, though, which means he's kind of got to clean up the act that the media has been giving him crap for missing time, eating a lot of stuff that he probably shouldn't be eating as a professional athlete. I'm not here to body shame Zion. I think he's great. I think
agree.
people aren't giving him enough credit for how fundamentally strong he is. But, I mean, when you're, top 5 heaviest player in the NBA, then maybe that raises some concerns among people. But, yeah, the Pelicans dismantled my Toronto Raptors a few nights ago. They literally beat them by 41 points. They've won 7 out of their last 10. Who would fit really well with the Pelicans, though?
Pelicans a new point guard. It's as simple as that. But they also need some more scoring. Which is why I think a player like Damian Lillard would be really good for their team.
Damian Lillard is a good pick. A really good pick, actually. So good of a pick that is exactly who I was thinking of picking for their team. Damian Lillard would fit really well, and we'd get to see him throw lobs to Zion. I mean, you'd have to hope they put good effort in on defense, which, it's definitely something that they might be, flawed at with Damian Lillard and Zion, who sometimes gives a little bit less of an effort than we would like.
That's why you got a good wing player like Herb Jones.
Yeah, Herbert Jones, amazing. Trey Murphy III has also been shooting the lights out recently. So I think they're really deep at the wing. Probably the deepest team in the NBA, in my opinion, at the small forward position. Don't really think that's a hot take. I just think that's facts.
I kind of agree. Like, they don't really have a bona fide superstar at the wing, but they have 2 really good, really talented wing players.
Their major weakness is lack of effort, which is something that actually I think is a good weakness to have because you just have to, get your players to, have the mentality to work harder and play better on possessions.
I know, man. If Zion had like Jimmy Butler's mentality, that nobody would beat them in the playoffs.
Absolutely true. And now we're on to the 4th seed, which is really disappointing me because I thought they were easy championship contenders. The Clippers, they looked super good at the start of the year. They're currently losing by 13 to the Houston Rockets at halftime and have gone 5 for 5 in their last 10, losing Russell Westbrook probably for the season until the playoffs with a hand injury. It's not looked good for them. And there's an obvious weakness.
Yes, there is. The big man. Which is why I'm going to use the trap card. Give me Jokic.
Jokic is a good pick there, I'll admit it. And I'll take the other trap card that would fit this team, Joel Embiid. Honestly, give anybody, any team, anybody, Joel Embiid. He scores. He plays great defense as a center.
Bro, there are not enough basketballs in the planet for him, Harden, Kawhi, PG, Westbrook.
That is true. And Jokic doesn't necessarily need to score. So I think Jokic is probably a better pick there, but Embiid's not a bad pick. You've got a super, super threatening offense. And then James Harden might have to cough up his shooting attempts to pass the ball more, which we've seen him do in the past. He's been among the top assisting players in the NBA at points in his career because he realized he has to give up the ball. Like in Philadelphia when he literally played with Joel Embiid. So
Yeah.
but then it'd be a question of who do you turn to in the playoffs? Because Kawhi's the only reputable guy there in the playoffs. And Jokic, also a reputable guy in the playoffs. So I think Jokic is probably the best pick there. And now we got the Denver Nuggets, currently third in the Western Conference with a record in the last 10 games of 6-4. Not bad. They did just drop one to the Phoenix Suns because Kevin Durant was absolutely going off. But overall, they're staying among the top teams in the league. Who you got for them?
They need wing depth, and I'm going back to Herbert Jones here, man. We were just talking about him. He's a really talented young wing. I feel like he could really benefit the Nuggets quite a bit. Like having some young talent on that team to play next to Murray and Jokic. Like you already saw what they were able to do with Christian Brown, who had a really good playoff run last year. I feel like if you add a piece like Herbert Jones, who can play really good defense to that team, it's really going to give them the kind of depth they need to win it all.
That is a great point, and not too far off from where I'm going, which is Norman Powell of the Clippers, who I think should be a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. Hot take, maybe, I guess. We still don't have the button, which we might not have for a while, but we hope to one day get a Habaneros Hot Take button that we can press, and it's like Hot Take or something like that.
Yes.
But I think Norman Powell provides shooting and defense for any team in the NBA, which is something that you really want as a team in the NBA.
Yes.
Literally anywhere. And he can come off the bench, he can start, he'll be great, you know? Not a whole lot to explain there about Norman Powell.
Yeah.
But moving on to the second seed in the Western Conference, it's the Thunder, who are 7-3 in their last 10, are half a game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's going to be fun to watch coming down to the wire at the end.
The Thunder needs something that they should have gotten during the trade deadline. A big. They just need somebody. Chet Holmgren's great. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to evolve into an even better player. But he's not going to stop a player like Zion or Jokic or Anthony Davis. We saw it when they played the Lakers the other night. We've seen it multiple times already this season. I don't think Chet's a bad player. I just don't think he has the kind of build to stop one of those players. Which is why I'm going to say that the Thunder need Yusuf Nurkic. He's about the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to size and weight compared to Chet Holmgren. He's a heavy boy who gets rebounds and plays good enough defense that I feel like he could really help them, and that's why I'm going to pick Nurkic.
And when you say that, it really makes me think of why aren't the Suns better with Nurkic and Bol Bol? I mean, they literally could combine perfectly with each other.
I like Bol Bol. I feel like he has as much potential as Chet and Wemby. He just has to want it more. There's a handful of players in the NBA who truly have all the talent in the world, and I feel like they could totally succeed. They just don't have a good enough mentality. Players like DeAndre Ayton and Bol Bol and Zion, and I could go on, but some of these guys, man, I wish Kobe was still out here teaching some of these players to have that Mamba mentality, because a lot of these players struggle with having that Mamba mentality, man.
That's true. For me, I feel like the Thunder need one key thing: experience, which they don't have. So why not just casually give them the most experienced and still good player in NBA history, LeBron James?
They definitely could have traded for him. What are you going to offer us? 18 first-round picks, and we're going to say no? I said that last week, too.
Yeah, you literally did. But, yeah, Thunder feel like, LeBron would fit really well with them at the small forward position. And he provides the veteran depth that they need to make a deep playoff run.
The only thing LeBron does for them is pass Kareem on them.
That is true. And then lose.
Exactly.
I mean, they won last night, but I can still clown them for that because how do you lose on a momentous night like that where LeBron gets the #1 scoring record?
Yeah, man, it's insane that we lose some of these games. It's honestly very frustrating as a Lakers fan.
They have done that twice now where LeBron breaks a huge record and then they just proceed to be completely unclutch in the fourth quarter.
It's not even just that, man. Kobe statue unveiling night, we lost to the Nuggets. Opening night, we lost to the Nuggets. It's the Nuggets, man. They suck. We can't beat them.
Finally, at the #1 spot in the Western Conference by half a game to the Thunder is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if you ask me, it doesn't really feel like the Timberwolves need much defensively because they really do not. Their defensive rating is 106, which is crazy. But offensively, they could use a little bit of help. And I don't really know. Who would you turn to on offense? Probably like the best shooter in the NBA right now, which is technically by his 3-point percentage, Grayson Allen.
I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses, so you just got to find someone to fill in the gaps for them in the weaknesses they do have.
But if I'm going to have to pick one player, they have really good depth at every position, really, other than point guard. Which is why I'm going to pick Jalen Brunson as the best player available to give to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
An interesting choice. I feel like you could have maybe gone with a better 3-point shooting point guard, but that's just my opinion. Not saying Brunson's a bad player, that he's bad at shooting threes. It's just threes aren't really necessarily his strong suit. I'd rather have Anthony Edwards shoot
Jalen Brunson
the three.
recently?
Yeah, I have.
Bro has been cooking from all over the floor. He's such an impressive scorer on offense, even though he's shorter than most NBA players. It's really fun to watch.
All right, well, that's our takes for the Western Conference side of one player you could add to each team to make them really, really good. Instant championship contenders. And now we head to the East. I say we work backwards. We start from the top and go down to the bottom.
Yes, because we have started from the bottom and gone to the top each of the last 4 times we've done stuff involving basketball.
Which means we're going to go to the obvious top, the Boston Celtics, who have officially clinched a playoff spot and are 7.5 games in front of the Bucks. The Timberwolves, who have the first seed in the Western Conference, are 7 games in front of the last seed in the current playoffs. So the Celtics have a better separation between them and the 2 seed than the first seed and the 6th seed in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
They also have gone 9-1 in their last 10 and probably should have won 11 straight if it weren't for a reversed call. But yeah, they're really good. Where do you think their weakness is and where could they upgrade with it?
I don't think they have any weaknesses, and I don't think they need any upgrades. I really think the only thing they need to do is stay healthy for the rest of the season. They're already a legitimate contender for the title. I really don't like it as a Lakers fan, but it's the facts.
It is very much facts. And you look around their whole team, even their depth is really good. So I'm going to say what the Celtics need is clutch. They need to come up big in those moments where it's down to the wire and they actually need to play well. Because, like you saw in that game against the Cavs, like they kind of folded in the fourth quarter. They thought they were comfortable with a 22-point lead over the Cavs, which they should have been comfortable with a 22-point lead over the Cavs.
How about the Cavs, though? They've been absolutely cooking recently.
Kinda. I mean, it feels like they've been doing better than they have. But they still,
with that half-court game winner and then Dean Wade going off against the Celtics.
the Cavs quietly have some dogs on their team.
Yeah, man.
Who's really been going off recently, though? Milwaukee. 6 straight wins, 8-2 in their last 10. And get this, the second best defensive rating since the All-Star game, which is unheard of. Good for the Bucks team that we were scared completely folded because Damian Lillard is not complimenting with Malik Beasley to play defense. They're finding it. They're having people play good defense. And you know what I think it is personally?
What?
The addition of Patrick Beverly.
Patrick Beverly was a great addition for them. He would have been a candidate for me saying, like, one of the players that they could desperately need. But, like, yeah, I really think they've done a great job. And I think that Doc Rivers, even though he was getting clowned quite a bit, he's come in there and done a really good job. He's helped their defense. They seem to be finding an identity now. And they are absolutely frightening to any other team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Doc Rivers has put a good system into Milwaukee that really helps them on offense and defense. And Giannis, he's been going off recently. He heard about those MVP votes going to Jokic and Shea and not him, and he's been absolutely lighting it up for the Bucks recently. So glad to see the Bucks winning because we all want to see the Bucks win.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mom wants Damian Lillard to win a championship before he retires.
Yeah.
So we never really answered the question. Who do we think could fit the Bucks well? The addition of guard defense. That is it in my mind.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso.
I could not name a better player in the NBA than Alex Caruso for that team.
I mean, maybe Alvarado from the Pelicans, but Caruso. He's a master at stealing the ball. He'll clamp up players that you think could not be clamped up. And he doesn't command the ball. He'll fit well next to the Dames, to the Giannis's, you know? If you put a guy like Paul George there, I feel like he would command the ball a little too much, and there'd be some chaos in that court.
Man, the Bulls literally trust Alex Caruso's defense so much that when they were playing the Milwaukee Bucks, they felt good enough about his defense that they played him on Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that Bulls-Bucks game because it was national TV, and they were actually switching Caruso onto Giannis a lot, and Caruso was not at all doing a bad job defending him. He's good at defending every position on the floor. So, Caruso, great fit for the Milwaukee Bucks, really for any team that needs defense but not necessarily shooting. And then we move on to the Cleveland Cavs, who in their last 10 have actually only gone 5 for 5, despite it feels being really good, including beating the Boston Celtics last night on Travis and Jason Kelce bobblehead night. What do you think the Cavs need?
Honestly, they're really good. They need Evan Mobley to figure out how to shoot a jumper is what they need.
That is true. They need Evan Mobley to refine his stuff. But I think they could also benefit from small forward, which really any team could because there's not a whole lot of good small forwards in today's more positionless NBA. But I think, they got a good defense, especially on the interior. Yeah, they got a really good defense on the interior. They're like keeping pace with the Boston Celtics defensively.
Yeah, they are really good.
Their offense is 114 right now, which is not even good enough to be as good as the play-in teams in the Western Conference. You know what? Give me Kevin Durant to put on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, the fit next to Donovan Mitchell is questionable, but the fit next to Darius Garland, if you're having Garland command the ball, is great. And then you have two really good shooters surrounding him and two really good defenders surrounding him. Great team build.
I honestly do think that does sound like a very, very well-rounded and talented team.
You just got to make sure that it's Garland who starts with the ball and not Donovan Mitchell.
Do you think Donovan Mitchell will leave Cleveland in the offseason or resign?
I mean, is this a hot take if I say yes or no either way?
Probably.
Okay, my hot take for that is no then. I don't think he will resign with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I've heard a lot of rumors about Mitchell to the Lakers if LeBron walks.
I've heard rumors about him to the Knicks as well, which I think would pair really interestingly with Jalen Brunson. But they would be super well-rounded. They already are super well-rounded when healthy without Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they need him. But yeah, we can save that for another time or just, push that to the side for the off season. We're going to move on to Orlando, who in their last 10 games have gone 8-2. And something people aren't talking about is the fact that the Orlando Magic have a 21-8 record at home.
Paolo Banchero got that dog in him, man.
And if the playoffs were to start today, they currently have first-round home court advantage, which is kind of scary, honestly.
It's honestly pretty impressive. I feel like nobody gives them enough credit because, the Orlando Magic haven't been good in years.
Yeah. The perfect fit for the Orlando Magic is somebody that can do a little touch of everything, in my opinion. Because it's not like they necessarily need shooting. It's not like they necessarily need defense.
They need a point guard.
They need a veteran. They need a point guard. They need someone who's just really well-rounded at everything. And that includes passing as well, probably. So, I don't know. Darius Garland doesn't sound like a terrible pick to me.
I'm going to be very unrealistic. Stephen Curry.
Stephen Curry. Ooh, I like the fit in Orlando with Stephen Curry at the point. My only concern is that he wouldn't pass. But
Stephen Curry can pass. I feel like nobody gives him enough credit because everybody just thinks of him as a shooter.
that is true. He's gotten very stereotyped as a shooter. But Stephen Curry is a good pick. I feel like Garland's also a decent pick. So, you know who'd be even better than Darius Garland on the Magic, actually? Tyrese Maxey.
Ooh, or Tyrese Halliburton. Both
Yeah.
Tyreses.
Tyrese Halliburton has not been there recently.
I still don't think he's healthy from that injury he had. The only time he's looked good since that injury is the All-Star game.
Speaking of not healthy from injuries, the Knicks have been an absolute train wreck recently. They're 3-7. Another guy that's really good at podcasting is Jalen Brunson, but many people are skeptical that his podcast is actually cursed because the Knicks have sucked. They barely won any games, and to top all of that off, Jalen Brunson just got hurt the other night against the Cavs, which they're calling knee soreness, but I'm calling my bluff on that. He had to be helped off the court. You don't get helped off the court for having a sore knee.
I mean, Paul Pierce literally used a wheelchair to go to the bathroom in the NBA Finals. So
I knew it.
you never know.
I knew
man.
the Paul Pierce heckling would come eventually. Literally your least favorite player of all time.
Yes.
But yeah, Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. Part of it's healthiness. They've not been good recently, and that's my pick for what they need. Not a player, not a
Health.
coach. Healthiness.
Absolutely. I was going to say that too because it's really the only correct answer for the Knicks.
Man, they have an awesome team. It's just they're totally not healthy. You know? They're missing, I think, 3 of their core guys. Because Mitchell Robinson still isn't back yet, which is unbelievable. He has been out forever.
Is Dante DiVincenzo their only healthy starter?
As of right now, I think it's him and Josh Hart, because Josh Hart was starting before Anunoby came. But
Well, if he's not starting after Anunoby showed up, then he's not a starter anymore.
that is true. So, yeah, maybe only Dante DiVincenzo is actually their only healthy starter right now. Like, it's him, and then they're surrounding him with Josh Hart and Isaiah Hartenstein. It is no wonder that they're losing games and dropping lots of spaces recently.
I know, it feels like them and the Sixers just are so injured right now.
Yeah, and the Knicks have to be scared of who's in 6th place, the Heat. And speaking of the Heat,
Miami.
they've been heating up. Ha ha ha.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Butler and Duncan Robinson has been going absolutely insane. Another guy with a really good podcast. It feels like the guys with podcasts, other than Jalen Brunson, have been playing really good basketball recently.
Ever since we started our podcast. Maybe it's a sign.
Yes, maybe it's a sign. Although Trae Young got hurt, and Paul George hasn't been playing great, and Jalen Brunson got hurt. So maybe it's a sign that it's actually not going very well for guys with podcasts. I didn't think about that.
Maybe it's a curse.
Maybe our podcast is cursed. You know what? Can you leave comments on like Apple Podcasts and stuff like that?
I can enable them.
Yeah, enable the comments and let the people comment below. Do you think that our podcast is cursing NBA players into playing bad or to getting hurt with podcasts? Is it an effect that is going around right now? Because it's not been looking good for podcasters other than one person, that's Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Heat have been absolutely on fire. They hold the best defensive rating in the NBA since the All-Star break. And their offense, which has been repeatedly clowned for being absolute garbage, has caught up to the likes of the Orlando Magic, the Knicks, all those other teams. They're catching up. They're catching fire, guys. It's
Jimmy
looking
Buckets,
good.
baby.
Jimmy Buckets, Bam Adebayo, and Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez. They've got a good team. It's finally coming together for the Miami Heat.
Michael Jordan Jr. has awakened from hibernation.
He sure has. And that is what I don't think they need a player. I think what they need is Jimmy Butler in the playoffs in the regular season. Because if they got that, they would literally be the number 1 seed every single season and go to the finals.
Jimmy Butler has to save all that energy for the playoffs. That's why he can go off every year.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, he's got to save all that energy.
He's got to be one with his emotions, too.
He's been tapping into that emotional side recently, and it's been helping him win games. You know who hasn't been winning games? The Sixers, who are so down in the dumps right
You know
now.
who the Sixers need?
Also health, right? Joel Embiid.
The Sixers need Joel Embiid.
They literally need Joel Embiid. And I know I said Joel Embiid earlier and that we're not going to do dupes, but that is literally the perfect person that fits in their system that they literally developed around him.
Yeah, because he's literally on their team. It's as simple as that.
I think, this is a hot take, the game he comes back from that game on, they will win 9 straight games.
I mean, I used a hot take saying that if Joel Embiid plays like he does in the regular season, the playoffs, they could go all the way to the finals. So I can hear it out.
Yeah, I truly do think that Joel Embiid's all they need. And with the Pacers, who are the 8th seed right now and 6-4, what they need is Tyrese Halliburton back because he has taken a vacation in the middle of the season, even though he's actually still playing games. Space Jam is real, and he got his talent stolen by the Monstars mid-season.
Yeah, man, what happened?
His shooting numbers have been horrible. He hasn't even been throwing out that many assists recently because he hasn't been on court because his defense has been a liability. His shooting, I already said his shooting's been awful. It's just affecting everything.
Is his jump shot finally catching up to him? Mm-hmm.
He's really ruining the Pacers' chances to make the playoffs right now with how he's playing, actually.
Yeah, it's sad because I don't want to say Tyrese's run earlier this season was a fraud because I really like Tyrese Halliburton. But as of right now, I feel like you really can't say anything else because he's just been on this cold streak recently.
Yeah, and part of being young in the NBA is learning to realize that you have to take some time to stay healthy. You have to take the proper procedures to do that. And it felt like the Pacers hit this high of highs at the in-season tournament, and now they're at this low of lows. And that's not how you win as a basketball culture. You have to have a steady flow of being a good team. That's how we saw the Warriors win repeatedly. That's how we saw Michael Jordan win repeatedly. Those teams were always at the top of their class, playing their best game night in, night out, no fluctuation. Every single one of those teams was headlined by a player that rarely had an off night. And when he did have an off night, it was capitalized by the next night bouncing back and having an even better night than he had 2 nights before.
I mean, we've seen players go on cold streaks. It happens. Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls went on a massive cold streak for 2 months. And what was it, 2 nights ago? He dropped 37 points.
He wrecked the Sacramento Kings. Absolutely torched them.
Yes, he did.
Speaking of Kobe White, the next team on the list is actually the Chicago Bulls. How convenient is that for a transition?
Let's go.
Definitely didn't plan that, did you?
No.
Nice. So yeah, they're 5-5 over the last 10, including dropping one to the Bucks when Giannis went absolutely insane. The Bulls need A, health, and B, not to be an absolute nursing home for grandpas of a team.
Can I just ask why we've given 0 players to Eastern Conference teams? Are Eastern Conference teams just already stacked and are good to go?
The East is way better than the West. And
honestly, the West is more competitive, but the East has more talent.
I think we're tuckering out here with our amounts of players that we're willing to explain.
I know, but it's all of these teams just need the players they have to be on the floor.
I still don't think the Bulls
playing at a high level.
I still do not think that the current Bulls, with all their players healthy, would even make it.
You don't think DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, and Andre Drummond could perform?
You're forgetting Vucevic, but
and Vucevic and Alex Caruso. They have a good team if they're on the floor.
They're too old. They don't gel well together. They need a youth movement, and I don't really know where they need it from, but
they
it's
have
not
Kobe
from
White.
The point
That's
guard.
About it.
It's not from the point guard. And it's probably not from small forward because Patrick Williams isn't healthy, but that guy, honestly, really good potential. People are forgetting about him because he's been injured for forever. And Wanzo. Wanzo's also been injured for forever.
Lonzo might not play basketball again, so I don't really know if he counts.
But I think they need a young center that can really be the centerpiece. That was not pun intended, but
Chet Holmgren or Victor? Who are you going with?
I already picked Victor, but I don't really think Chet Holmgren is the choice here. I think it's Alperen Sengun.
Oh, wow. I did not expect you to go there.
He can facilitate a team entirely on his own. And we've seen, the Rockets are pretty mid, right? But they're almost honestly about as good as the Chicago Bulls are.
Yeah.
And Sengun is surrounded by a way younger, way less experienced core of guys on the Rockets. If you surrounded him with vets that knew how to play well with the ball and other superstars, because, like, who is Alperen Sengun throwing dimes to right now? Dylan Brooks? Bro should be playing in China, not on the Houston Rockets. But anyway, yeah, I feel like if you put Alperen Sengun on Chicago, it gives them a piece to build around, which is something they really don't have right now. And it gives them a good offensive facilitation.
Yeah.
Is that who you're picking too?
Man, if I had to pick somebody, I'm just going to pull the easy way out and go with Wembanyama.
Yeah. Any team could build around Wemby, including, even though I can't pick him, our next team, the 10th seeded Atlanta Hawks, who have gone 5-5 and have not at all supported my hot take claim that they would be better with DeJounte Murray running the point with no Trae Young than without, because they have been exactly as mid as they were before they started.
You know what they need? They need coaching. But I have to pick a player because we have not picked a player for most of the Eastern Conference team. So if I had to pick any player, I would go with Nicholas Claxton, one of the best rim protectors in the NBA, very quietly, who is a free agent next season. So I really feel like the Hawks could benefit from his defensive capabilities. I don't think Clint Capella is a bad center, and Onyeka Okongwu is also pretty good, but I feel like somebody like Nick Claxton to throw lobs to, and he can defend the rim, that would be really good to put next to a player like Trae Young.
Interesting take. I think that they're probably good enough at the center with Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. Jalen Johnson looks like a stud that can be a blossoming superstar for their franchise in the future.
He's a high flyer, man.
And Trae Young, obviously, I think for them, you have to pick one or the other with Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. It hasn't worked for 2 seasons now. You have to make sure that you have to commit to one of them, trade the other one for some value to build around the one you chose to stay with. So, for me, I don't really think I'm going to pick a player yet again. I think I'm going to trade DeJounte Murray and then get some picks and get some good defenders.
I don't think Quinn Snyder's a bad coach, but as I said, I feel like they could use a better coach. I don't feel like he fits their system all that great.
Interesting. I think they're very offensive focused, and they need to stay offensive focused, but they need to mix in some defensive stuff.
Yeah, like Nick Claxton.
I guess you could say Nick Claxton, but I think it's mostly more at the point guard.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to sports. Different sport. Yes. Yeah. I don't know what that plug was, but now we're on to baseball. You're welcome.
That was a terrible plug. Wow.
We did our absolutely mortifyingly bad spring training power rankings last time on the podcast, where we continuously left out good contenders and talked utter and complete nonsense for about 20 minutes.
This week will be better. Get ready.
This time we vow not to do that. Okay. I promise.
Let's cook.
This week we're doing MVP and Cy Young frontrunners. It's quick, but it's good. Who you got for MVP in the American League? We'll start there.
AL MVP.
Because it's kind of wide open now that Shohei Ohtani's gone, but yeah.
Yeah, man, I completely agree with that. In all honesty, I think it's somebody who moved from the NL to the AL this year. I'll let you take a guess.
My guess, I don't think there's a whole lot of guys that moved, but Juan Soto?
Oh, heck yeah, man. Juan Soto is going to have a hell of a year next to Aaron Judge, and he is going to win the MVP because he is just that talented.
I like the pick of Juan Soto, but I don't think I can roll with it, in my opinion. An MVP is somebody that provides offense and defense for a team. And Juan Soto being in a Gold Glove consideration last year was honestly atrocious. I just want to point that out. Kind of like the MLB's new ridiculous see-through pants. What are they thinking? But
They still have time to change it, and hopefully they do.
Juan Soto could easily hit a ridiculous number of home runs in that ballpark, without a doubt.
Uh-huh.
I think, for me, it's up to 2 people to win the AL MVP, and I'll probably have to pick between one for the sake of the video. But one, Adley Rutschman. I feel like he'll be like the starting core of that Baltimore Orioles team. That they look amazing. And I think they will end up being wherever I put them on the power ranking of the baseball tier list, because I literally forgot. But it's definitely at the top of the American League.
You had them in second behind the Texas Rangers.
Second. Texas Rangers is good, because I was literally about to go there with my second pick, which is Marcus Semien.
Not Seager?
Not Corey Seager. I know Corey Seager.
Not Garcia?
Not Garcia. I feel like Marcus Semien, great contact hitter, great power hitter, great defender, speedster. He'll steal you some bases. He doesn't feel like he has a weakness. I mean, other than Yoshinbu Yamamoto, who was absolutely dealing to him in spring training.
Yes. I was very, very happy to see Yamamoto's debut and see him absolutely destroy the reigning champions, Texas Rangers, in about 2 innings of work.
Yeah, but as a man that advocated for Marcus Semien when he was on the Athletics and when he was on the Blue Jays and now when he is on the Rangers, I am moved to have seen him win a World Series and be one of the best players on that core team.
The best player was Garcia, I'm sorry, but it wasn't Semien.
Garcia was going off in the playoffs, but I think Marcus Semien will go off in the regular season, and that's why I have him over Adley as my number 1 for the AL MVP. I'm locking it in now. I guess you could say it's a hot take to say Marcus Semien is the MVP, but I'm spamming that hot take button every day of the week. Give me all the spiciness. Give me all the Marcus Semien that I can handle.
Okay, man.
And then I guess who's your AL Cy Young? Also, now that Shohei Ohtani's gone, because
Shohei Ohtani's not winning any Cy Youngs this year. We'll just say that much. Because unfortunately, he can't pitch.
Rest in peace to Shohei Ohtani's elbow for the next few
But
months.
if I had to pick an AL Cy Young, I'm going to go with another guy who moved from the NL to the AL and is going to be an ace for the team.
All right. Let me guess this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Corbin Burns.
Absolutely, man. He's been absolutely cooking with the Milwaukee Brewers for the past couple of seasons. Now he gets to come play on one of the best teams in the American League. I feel like he is a really big piece of their team and is really going to help them succeed.
I'm going to be honest. Personally, I love Corbin Burns. He's really, really, really good. But that Brewers system for pitchers is elite.
Yeah,
it's
pretty good.
They churn out stupid amounts of good pitching talent. And I don't know if Corbin Burns will be as good moving away and then also having to pitch to the AL East on way more of an occasion than he did.
Yeah, I guess that's true. When you do play against the Yankees and the Blue Jays and the Red Sox, it's a good division.
Maybe he can prove me wrong and win the Cy Young, but I just personally don't really see the potential for him to win the Cy Young.
I mean, hey, Garrett Cole won in the AL East last year. It's not impossible.
Speaking of Garrett Cole, not a guy because he plays in that AL East. I just threw you guys for an absolute curveball. I know I did. I know I just destroyed you guys.
Nice baseball joke right there.
About to throw you for another one. Sonny Gray.
Oh.
Of the Minnesota Twins.
He's a young, up-and-coming pitcher. I do like Sonny Gray this season. I feel like he will have a really nice season and might even finish on the ballot for Cy Young. But he's definitely not the leader for me. Why do you think he's the leader?
He's definitely not the people's champion, I'll say that much. But I've seen some of his stuff, and it's nasty. He was an all-star last year. I mean, he was pretty young last year, too. My only real concern is him having to pitch in that Minnesota climate, which it's pretty high up. If he can keep his stuff low, strike out a good amount of batters, and not give up the home run, he can, hot take again, not only lead the league in ERA, but win the Cy Young. Huge hot take here. I'm going out on a limb and saying Sonny Gray
If Sonny Gray has a bad season, you're gonna look back on this and get clowned.
I am going to get clowned by our 5 viewers. So who do you think's going to win the NL MVP? Because you could pick anyone from the Dodgers or Ronald Acuna and not be wrong.
It's gonna be Shohei. He's gonna break the home run record. Hot take button right there.
That is a very hot take button. He's going to hit 63 home runs with Tommy John surgery on his right elbow.
I didn't say he was gonna break Aaron Judge's home run record.
Are you saying he's going to break Barry Bonds' home run record?
Yes, I am.
Dude, that is an insane hot take. I am all here for it if he does it. I don't think he'll do it, obviously.
I know it. I know it's a pretty bold statement because hitting 70+ home runs in a season is absolutely insane. But if there's anybody in the NL who I think could do it, it would be Shohei. He has looked phenomenal in spring training. He's hitting home runs. He looks fine, even with his arm surgery. And he's going to have to focus on primarily being a hitter this season. He said he's coming into this season feeling like a rookie, and he's going to have his best season hitting yet. And I believe him. I think he's going to have the best season hitting in MLB history.
Could he beat Aaron Judge's record? I think so. But nobody's beaten Barry Bonds' record since steroids. Like
Nobody's ever beaten Barry Bonds' record. That's why it's a record.
Exactly. And then the other two guys that hold the second and third spots are Mark McGwire, who took steroids, and Sammy Sosa, who also took steroids. Like,
whoa. Sammy Sosa never admitted taking
he never
steroids.
fessed
Are
up.
we sure?
He never fessed up, but let's be honest. Everybody knows. The evidence is piled against him. Do I think Shohei could beat those home run records? Yes, if he took steroids. And I also think he would get drug tested after literally every single game. And also I think Japan would collectively lose their minds if he hit for the home run record.
Yeah, that would be true.
Personally, I want to pick an MVP that is not the people's favorite. I like to pick against the spread. That's why I picked Marcus Semien, and that's why I picked Sonny Gray for Cy Young. Give me Bryce Harper.
Oh, Bryce Harper's good, and he's healthy this season.
He's healthy. He's a known good defender.
But he's playing first base this season. Can he keep up his good defense at first base?
Honestly, can he be Gold Glove at first base with the experience of being an outfield defender and playing some first base last season?
Okay, so look, I think he's not the only outfielder that's going to win a Gold Glove in the NL. I think him and Betts could both very easily win Gold Gloves moving from the outfield to the infield.
Yeah, because Mookie's moving to second, and the competition at second base is very slim in the National League.
Tommy Edman, that's about it.
Yeah. Did Jeff McNeil play second? I feel like Jeff McNeil plays everywhere.
Man.
Oh, Ha-Sung Kim.
Ha-Sung Kim's going to play short this year.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think, and you bringing out the Padres makes me think Fernando Tatis Jr., who I also think could very easily carry the Padres on his back and win.
Yeah, if he starts taking steroids again.
Okay, he was treating ringworm, guys. Let's just remember, it wasn't actually steroids. Don't be hating on Fernando Tatis Jr. because he was treating his ringworm. Wink, wink. But yeah, Bryce Harper, a known monster hitter. I think he'll have a huge season for the Phillies and pull the Phillies to a decently high playoff spot and then do that again in the playoffs.
Yeah, he seems like one of those guys, kind of like a Jimmy Butler, who just turns it on in the playoffs.
He also seems to draw a lot of comparisons to LeBron. He seems ageless, defying father time, playing well even when he's hurt, stepping it up to another level in the playoffs. I like Bryce Harper, so that's my National League MVP. Who you got for National League Cy Young?
Man.
If you say Dodger, you're
biased. As I want to say Yamamoto because I'm biased, or Glass now, I'm not going to because I don't think they're going to win it. I feel like the NL West has a lot of talented teams in it, and I feel like our pitchers are going to get beat up every now and then. So I'm going to stay out of the NL West, even though there are a lot of good options there. And I am going to go to the NL East. Specifically to the Philadelphia Phillies again. Because a recently extended Zach Wheeler is going to win the NL Cy Young.
Zach Wheeler. I like that pick. It's a
wheeling and dealing.
I mean, in previous seasons, he has been wheeling and dealing, but it hasn't been him that's been showing up regularly on the ballot. It has been his counterpart, Aaron Nola. But I do think Wheeler can make a push for it, without a doubt, in my mind.
Okay. And here's your pick.
Give me a second to think.
There's a lot of talented pitchers in the NL.
There are a lot of talented pitchers.
You
and
could always
obviously-
play it safe and pick a Brewers pitcher.
Yeah, which if I was going to pick a Brewers pitcher, it'd probably be... Is Freddie Peralta a pitcher?
Peralta or Woodruff, is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was thinking of Freddie Peralta. I was just trying not to make sure I didn't pick the outfielder named Peralta.
Juan Peralta, David Peralta, which Peralta are you thinking?
Yeah, my baseball knowledge, as you guys know, is not nearly as good as Turner's. I'm much better at hockey knowledge than Turner is, but he's much better than baseball knowledge.
I know nothing about hockey, which is why it's not brought up on the podcast.
Yeah, we don't cover any hockey here, so... if you guys are wondering, my favorite hockey teams are, because I have multiple, I'm still trying to pick one because I'm, kind of relatively new to the sport, but I like the Boston Bruins and I like the Buffalo Sabres.
Should we put up a poll to see if we should add hockey to the podcast?
We should put up a poll. If one singular person says yes after we put up
It can't
this
be
poll
you. You can't
to
go.
add hockey,
You can't go say yes to adding
I'm
hockey to
not
the
gonna
podcast.
fix it, but if one singular person says yes to adding hockey to the poll, we will add hockey. Not Pocky, hockey.
I love hockey though.
Yeah,
no
same,
plug.
same. We will add hockey to the end of the show as another segment, and we will do 4 sports. We might have to divide the amount of time we do better because that would probably take us 2.5 hours. But
I'd also have to start watching more hockey and getting familiar with the rules. So
also, thank you for giving me the time to pick my Cy Young candidate,
you're welcome.
which is Shota Imanga of the Cubs.
That's a good pick.
I feel like that division is not nearly as talented as some of the other divisions, and he's got nasty stuff. And a ton of people have been sleeping on him because everyone's like, Yoshimbu Yamamoto is Japanese Pedro Martinez.
Exactly. But shorter.
Yeah. Is he like the shortest pitcher in MLB history?
No, he's like 5'10". He's really not that short. He's like your height.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I am considered short compared to Turner, if you guys didn't know, because he is 6'2", and I am 5'10". But, yeah, I think Shota Imanga is primed for a good season in a mediocre division. I mean, he's going to have to pitch to Ellie De La Cruz multiple times this season.
Ellie De La Cruz could be an MVP.
Ellie De La Cruz
I just want to point that out.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure since he didn't play like all of last season, he's eligible for Rookie this year. Which,
Yeah, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I
hello,
know.
easy Rookie of the Year candidate. I know I said I like to pick against the spread, but how are you not going to pick Ellie De La Cruz, who is basically the Victor Wembanyama of baseball?
He's so fun to watch, man.
He is fun to watch. And I personally hope the Reds play well this year so that he gets a lot of time.
I'm just saying, if I had to pick another pick for like second place in Cy Young voting, I'm going with Hunter Green because that guy is going to have a great season. And I know he's not getting much love. As now I've picked 2 Cy Young candidates before you.
And my other second Cy Young candidate to match with yours, because I know I just picked Shota Imanga, I think Paul Skeens will get called up by the Pirates
There's
and
no way.
start opening day.
Opening
And-
day.
And I think he actually has a decent chance to make Cy Young push. I guess that is absolutely a hot take
That
button.
is a huge hot take button, but I could see it.
He was nasty at LSU. He was super good.
Have you seen some of his stuff from spring training so far? He's looked phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't given up a run yet.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah. And while we're saying hasn't given up a run, I should bring up Yoshimbu Yamamoto because he's been getting so much hype in spring training. He gave up a ton of runs today to the White Sox.
Yeah, man, he struggled today, but I feel like it's spring training, and I feel like after the first outing, I feel like he really didn't take today too serious.
He gave up some of those runs to Luis Robert, another potential MVP candidate in the National League.
We could go on and on about how good MLB players are.
Yes. Imagine going up to a baseball pitcher and trying to hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball out of a park. Or even as a pitcher trying to throw it by those guys. Like, they're so talented to be that good at that sport. That is the one sport where I feel like I absolutely would not stand a chance playing. Although
Okay,
American football would be terrifying to play against.
I got a fun question for you.
All right.
Which
yes.
one would you want to do the most?
Out of the 3 sports we cover here?
Get ready. Game 7, NBA Finals,
Oh.
Tie game, you have to score once on Kawhi Leonard at the buzzer.
On Kawhi?
Or try and hit Randy Johnson's fastball. Or get hit by Ray Lewis once.
I would probably shatter into 14 different pieces on the Ray Lewis one, so I'm automatically going to say there is no way I'm doing that. Secondly, I like to think of myself as a man of bravery, but I am a complete and total coward when I look Randy Johnson in the eyes in the box and he's staring down at me and he goes, "You are mine," and then powers that 102 mile per hour lefty fastball that, by the way, he's known for hitting guys in the head with. That is something he had a reputation for. I probably won't make it, but give me my chances of shooting on Kawhi Leonard, because literally that is the least physically involved one. Like,
With all the pressure, Game 7 of the NBA Finals for the Toronto Raptors.
I don't care. I can walk away with my life still with me in that scenario. Which one are you picking?
Oh, absolutely. Trying to score at Kawhi.
Yeah, I feel like you set up a misnomer there. It's like get punched by Draymond or these other ones, you know?
Get punched by Draymond.
Get hit in the no-no area by Dylan Brooks, you know? Those feel a little bit more comparative, but yeah. I might pick the baseball one. I might pick the basketball one, but definitely not the football one. And this is a great way to segue into our next segment, the football segment.
And
American football
it's
for
been
you
a-
listeners in other countries.
If you exist.
If not if other countries exist.
No,
but
no.
if our viewers exist in other countries. Today we're going to be talking about the ridiculous free agent carousel that's
It's been a
going
while.
on.
It's been a wild day for free agency. The Buffalo Bills have been going insane.
Yeah, but before we talk about the Bills, some other interesting things to know. Kirk Cousins not expected to come back for the Vikings.
Yeah, man.
Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have not said a single word about a contract extension.
I'm not shocked about that, but
And also, Russell Wilson got cut by the Broncos, which seemed inevitable, but now they have $82 million of dead cap space.
yes. And Russell Wilson has currently been granted permission to go start negotiating with other teams.
Where do you think Russell Wilson's going to go? And where do you want him to go?
I feel like he could go replace Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, throwing to Justin Jefferson, and I feel like they could get some defensive pieces. Maybe we could see a little bit of like that Legion of Boom,
Legion of Boom in
I don't know.
Minnesota.
kind of some flashbacks of Russell Wilson on offense, Jefferson in the Tyler Lockett role. Get some good
Tyler
defensive-
Lockett to Jefferson comparison.
I know.
And the Seahawks defense to the Vikings
The
defense.
Vikings would need to add some pieces to their defense in order to even come close to the Legion of Boom.
The Vikings would need to add a lot of pieces to come to close to that. I think Russell Wilson will sign with the Falcons.
Oh
which
yeah, that's my second.
I'm super excited if he does that because the Falcons need literally one thing, and it's a veteran quarterback that knows how to put the ball into the hands of his good people.
If anybody's playing fantasy football next year, watching this podcast, go draft Kyle Pitts in like the 7th round. He's gonna have a heck of a season.
And Drake London, he might become a solid wide receiver one. That is like hot take because this is about to be kind of
Okay,
wild.
let's see it.
Top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football next year.
Ooh, dang, that
Pretty
would be
spicy.
pretty impressive. Also, Bijan Robinson would be another great fantasy draft pick because they're actually going to use him at the goal line now because Arthur Smith's not the coach.
That is true. But fantasy football still is months away, so we got to get back to current things that are happening. Like, what in the world are our Buffalo Bills doing?
Oh,
They
my gosh.
just cut 7 people, and one of them was Tre'Davious White. One of them was Jordan Poyer. One of them was their starting center. They're dumping their veterans for cap,
Man,
for salary.
it's been a wild day as a Buffalo Bills fan to see us cut our starting center, a starting safety, a starting corner, our backup running back, and then sign Mitch Trubisky to replace all of them. Like, what are we doing?
Not only Mitch Trubisky, they just extended one of their safeties to replace Jordan Poyer.
I guess that's true. They did sign Taylor Rapp to an extension, and they did restructure Von Miller's contract.
But I don't know why they just spent money from cutting a bunch of vets to sign Mitchell Trubisky.
I was not happy.
It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't seem like a good business move from my eyes.
Well, they were $40 million over the cap, and now that's over with. And I'm sure they're not the last team we'll see go on a fire sale this week. The Chargers are gonna have to light up in order to get under the cap.
The Chargers might have to cut Keenan Allen.
Where's Keenan Allen gonna go if he gets cut?
Which Keenan Allen's an interesting case because
He was so good last year.
he was great last year, but he is not really in his prime anymore.
What? Did you see Keenan Allen playing last year
I did,
when he
but-
was on the field? He was having one of his best seasons.
He is really old.
He is pretty old for a wide receiver in the NFL, but he can still play at a high level, and I think any team in the NFL would love to have him.
That is true.
I picked him as a sleeper in my fantasy draft last year, and man, oh man, was that a great decision
That does sound like a good decision.
until the playoffs came. And I got screwed.
I don't know where Keenan Allen would go, but he'd have to take a massive cut to go anywhere for like salary purposes.
I still think teams would be willing to pay him.
I think the Chiefs would be willing to pay him, which hurts me so much. If he goes to the Chiefs are going to win another Super Bowl.
I don't want the Chiefs to win anymore. I'm sorry.
Neither do I. Yeah, as Bills fans, that's pretty obvious.
I mean, I have no hate against Chiefs fans, but like, I do not want the Chiefs to win anymore. It's just so frustrating to have to watch the Bills lose every season. I really hate it.
Yeah, and I guess shout out to the Chiefs for being good and winning those games off talent.
We're not giving you a 3-second clap.
We're
though.
not going to give you a 3-second clap because we're salty. But, yeah.
I know we said we weren't going to be biased on this podcast last week, but sometimes you can't really help
Yeah,
it.
sometimes we're salty, all right? Sometimes you're going to have to accept the fact that we're going to be salty. Like, if the Celtics win the finals, probably not going to give a 3-second clap to the Celtics. If the Giants beat the Dodgers one day, we're not going to be like, good for them.
I think any team beating the Dodgers is honestly impressive.
I think if the Dodgers don't win a championship, it's a disappointment. But we are on the football segment now, not the
Yeah.
baseball segment.
Yes, you went on a rant there.
Yeah. Speaking of the Buffalo Bills, they have a pretty good draft pick this year. And that draft pick looks like it might be able to be used on Xavier Worthy.
Man, oh man. What a combine performance for Xavier Worthy. 4.2140.
If you guys didn't know, that ties Usain Bolt's 40-yard dash time for the fastest he's ever gone in his career. You know what? 3-second clap to Xavier Worthy. Yeah. Whoever gets him automatically, they're getting a ridiculous speedster of a wide receiver with the potential for really good hands. We saw an amazing combine from Xavier Worthy.
He honestly feels like he could be like a taller Tyreek Hill.
And you know what scares
At
me?
best.
And you know what scares me is the Dolphins definitely could draft Xavier Worthy, and then they would have Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Xavier Worthy as their 3 receivers.
And don't forget their track star running back, Devon Achane.
Yes, and Raheem Mostert. Like, that is the fastest 5 guys I can imagine. That's like a professional track team.
Yeah, they call them the Miami track team for a reason.
Miami Dolphins, because they're gonna reach top speeds in the water like a dolphin. I don't know.
That was not
That I was supposed to make some kind of cool joke there, and I totally didn't. But on the bright side, it did make the sound waves look like a dolphin when I said that on our monitor.
Why is
So,
it look like that? It was
I guess
crazy.
that's cool, but sorry for being cringe and making a horrible jokes. Hey, the takes are spicy, and apparently I'm not funny. So
Yeah, apparently, man.
yeah, but there's a lot going on in the NFL, but it's really hard to summarize it. And it's really hard to explain exactly what's going on until we know for a fact what's going on. Like, if guys start signing like Mike Evans did, which we almost forgot to mention
Yeah,
somehow.
we did. And all the franchise tags that happened, which include important players like Jalen Johnson, Michael Pittman, and
Brian Burns, Josh Allen.
Brian Burns, Josh Allen.
Not our Josh Allen, though.
Different Josh Allen.
Yeah, the Jaguars' Josh Allen.
the other Josh Allen.
Yeah, but those guys all got franchise tagged. Some guys didn't get franchise tagged. Michael Pittman got franchise tagged, which is
I
kind
did say that
of disappointing because I wanted him to be a Buffalo Bill. But
Saquon did not get the franchise tag.
Mike Evans is currently the only guy to have gotten an official contract, and it was from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going back.
I was shocked. I thought he said that he wasn't going to resign there, but apparently he got past that with them and re-signed.
I got to say this: the Bucks, they have the Bucks. They can pay whoever they want.
And at least he's not a Chief.
That is true. There was rumors of him going to the Chiefs, which would have been even more disappointing than Keenan Allen going to the Chiefs, because I still think Mike Evans has a little bit of life left in him. But
So does Keenan Allen, bro. They're the two best veteran receivers in the NFL.
that is true. And Devontae Adams, who it hurts to say he is a veteran receiver. I grew up watching a ton of Devontae Adams.
He was so good with the Packers.
Stephon Diggs is a veteran at this point. Gosh.
Are the Bills going to keep Stephon Diggs? What do you think?
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. I think he'll beat the allegations, but all these guys are making me feel old, and what's making me feel even older is the fact that I literally am going to be 16 years old in 2 weeks.
Man.
So is Turner.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Time goes by, so enjoy sports while you have them.
Should we give ourselves a 3-second clap for this?
We'll do it on our birthday.
Yes.
We can wait till then, but spring break this week. Do we want to upload another episode this Wednesday?
Oh, definitely.
All right, we're going to power through the spring break, and we're going to upload another episode for you guys on Thursday next week.
Yeah.
3-second clap to us for not slacking off on spring break.
Well, I think that's it for today's episode, Jackson. Got
Yeah.
anything else to talk about?
Not that I can really think of. I think we covered really everything that we could.
Well, I guess that's it then.
Yeah, until next time, guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
watching Habaneros Hot Takes,
Where the takes are spicy and the jokes are funny.